The Bhagava was dwelling at Rajagaha at the squirrels' feeding place in Bamboo Grove. Now one day a festival was proclaimed in the city of Rajagaha. Everyone, dressed in the best he had, took part in the festivities. Now the great king Bimbisara, to goodwill of the people, went out from the place and made a ceremonial circuit of the town with great pomp and splendor. At that time a woman of good birth, a resident of Rajagaha, saw the pomp of the king and, filled with wonder, she asked those who were known to be learned, by what sort of deed of merit if this display of wealth of divine splendor acquired. They said to her, "My dear, a deed of merit is like the jewel that grants desires, like the wish-conferring tree." When she heard that she said to herself, "I see that divine efficiency is greater than that," and she became very earnest in the performance of deeds of merit. Now her mother and father sent a new suit of clothes, a new seat, a bunch of lotuses and ghee, honey, sugar, rice and milk for her to enjoy. When she saw them she said, "I want to give alms, and now this which is a gift worth giving has become mine," and with a happy heart she prepared her alms, her house, herself on the next day. At that time the venerable elder monk Sariputta, walking for alms in Rajagaha, entered a street with the bearing of one who was laying down a purse of 1,000 pieces. Now the woman's maid saw the elder monk and said, "Reverend sir, give me your bowl," and added, as a favor to a lay woman follower, "Come this way." The elder gave her his bowl. She conducted him to the house. Then the woman welcomed and served the elder. And as she was serving she made an aspiration. "Through the power of this meritorious deed of mine may there be deva-like splendors, resplendent with deva-like elephants, pinnacled houses and divans, and may it on no occasion be without lotuses." Then when the elder had finished his meal she washed the bowl and filling it with ghee, honey, sugar and so on, made a bundle of the cloth which had been spread over the seat, and put it in the hand of the elder. After the elder had taken leave, she gave orders to 2 men, "Take this couch and the bowl to the monastery, give them to the elder monk, and return." They did so. Afterwards she died and was reborn in the realm of the 33 in a golden mansion 100 yojanas in height and had a retinue of 1,000 nymphs. And because of her aspiration noble elephant 5 yojanas in height arose for her, festooned with lotus garlands and decked with golden ornamental fabric. Now on a festival day when the devas were going, each by means of the form of deva-like power which was his own, to Nandana Grove for amusement in the pleasaunce. From here on the story is the same as in the commentary on the first seat mansion. So it is to be understood as in that story, but here this elder spoke the lines that follow. "Your elephant, a glorious mount, adorned with various jewels, pleasing, powerful, possessed of speed, goes smoothly through the sky. A lotus on is he, a one with eyes like lotus petals, hearing the luster of blue and red lotuses, his limbs covered with the powder of lotuses, garlanded with golden lotuses. Over a road that is lotus-strewn, decorated with lotus petals, that is firm, charming, not painful, goes the lordly elephant with measured tread. As he is stepping forward, golden bells, sweet in tone are heard, their sound like the fivefold instrumental music. As you are seated on that great elephant's back you're through of white, adorned, you surpass in beauty the great throng of nymphs. Is this the result of your giving donation, or again, of practice of morality, or of raising clasped hands? On your being questioned make this known to me." That Devata, delighted at being questioned by Moggallana when asked the question explained of what deed this was the result. Seeing a matter, possessed of special qualities, delighting in motion always, mindful, I gave to him a chair covered with flower covered with a cloth rug. I, gladly, with my own hands had spread halved lotus flowers together with the petals all round the chair. Such is this result for me of that deed of benevolence. I have received the ministration and esteem and honoured am I. Verily he who, with joy, should give a chair to those who are equanimously well enlightened, saintly, practicing celibacy, would be joyful, even as I am. Therefore by one desiring his own welfare, who is longing for greatness, a seat should be given to those bearing their last body. Arahants, with full spiritual awakening and with no rebirth causing karma/factors. Vimanavathu. Vimanavathu. First boat mansion. While the Bhagava was dwelling at Savatthi, 16 monks who had spent the rains in a village residence set out on the highway towards Savatthi in the hot season, saying, "We will see the Bhagava and listen to Dhamma." And on the way was a waterless desert. And because they were overcome there by the heat and finding no water, they went to the environs of a certain village. There a woman with a water jar was going to a well. Now the monks saw her, and saying, "If we go where this woman goes we can get water," they followed her, saw the well, and stopped near her. She drew water from there, and saw the monks. "These worthy ones are thirsty," she said to herself, and most respectfully invited them to drink. They took out strainer from knapsack, strained and drank as much water as they wanted, cooled their hands and feet, spoke a blessing to that woman for giving them water, and went on. She kept that deed of merit in her heart, thinking of it from time to time. Afterwards she died and was reborn in the realm of the 33. Through the power of her deed of merit there arose for her a great mansion beautified with a wish-conferring tree. Surrounding it was a stream flowing with water pure as a mass of gems and containing expansive white sandy banks lustrous as pearl strings and silver. On both its banks and at the gateway of the pleasaunce of the mansion was a great lotus pond, adorned with a clump of 5-colored lotuses and with a golden boat. The Devi dwelt there enjoying Deva bliss, sporting and idling in the boat. Then one day the venerable elder monk Mahamoggallana, as he was going about on a Deva tour, saw the Devata thus amusing herself and said, "Lady, you are standing, embarked in a boat with a golden awning. You dip into a lotus pool, you break off a lotus, with your hand. Your dwellings are pinnacled houses, partitioned, the proportions planned. Dazzling, they shine forth around the 4 quarters. Because of what is your beauty such? Because of what do you prosper here, and there arise whatever are those delights that are dear to your heart? I ask you, Devi of great majesty, what merit did you perform when you were born a human beings? Because of what is your brilliant majesty thus and your beauty illumines all the quarter?" That Devata, delighted at being questioned by Moggallana, when asked the question explained of what deed this was the result. "When in a former birth I was born a human being among men in the world of men. In the world of men I saw monks who were thirsty and weary. Up and doing I gave them water to drink. Verily, he who, up and doing, gives water to drink to those who are thirsty and weary, for him there will be streams of cool waters abounding, in blossoms, and many white lotuses. Beside him moving waters, streams of cool waters fringed with sand forever flow. There are mango trees and sala trees, thilikas and rose apples, cashews and trumpet flowers in full bloom. For him its beauty enhanced by such surroundings, in the finest mansion, greatly shining. This is the resultant of that deed itself. They who perform merit receive such as this. My dwellings are pinnacled houses, partitioned, the proportion planned. Dazzling, they shine forth around the 4 quarters. Because of this is my beauty such, because of this do I prosper here, and there arise whatever are those delights that are dear to my heart. I make known to you, monk of great majesty, what merit I performed when I was born a human being. Because of this is my brilliant majesty thus and my beauty illumines all the quarters." Vimanavathu. Vimanavathu. Second boat mansion. While the Bhagava was dwelling at Savatthi, a certain elder monk, Cankors destroyed. At the beginning of the rains wanted to begin the season in a village residence. And he set out after the meal upon the highway from Savatthi to the village. Becoming tired and thirsty from the fatigue of journey, he came to a village, and stopped at the door of a principal house. There a woman saw him and asked, "Where have you from, sir?" And seeing that he was tired and thirsty, welcomed him into the house and gave him a seat. She gave him water for his feet, and oil to anoint them, and fanned him. When his heat was allayed she prepared a sweet, cold fragrant drink for him. The elder drank it and his thirst quenched, thanked her and went on his way. Later the woman died and was reborn in the realm of the 33. Understand everything as for the preceding mansion. Even in the verses there is nothing new. Lady, you are standing, embarked in a boat with a golden awning. You dip into a lotus pool, you break off a lotus with your hand. Your dwellings are pinnacled houses, partitioned, the proportions planned. Dazzling, they shine forth around the four quarters. Because of what is your beauty such? Because of what do you prosper here, and there arise whatever are those delights that are dear to your heart? I ask you, Devi to Majesty, what merit did you perform when you were born a human beings? Because of what is your brilliant majesty thus and your beauty illumines all the quarters? That Devata, delighted at being questioned by Moggallana, when asked the question explained of what deed this was the result. When in a former birth I was born a human beings among men in the world of men I saw a monk who was thirsty and weary. Up and doing I gave him water to drink. Verily, he who up and doing, gives water to drink to those who are thirsty and weary, for him there will be streams of cool waters abounding in blossoms, and many white lotuses. Beside him moving waters, streams of cool waters fringed with sand forever flow, there are mango trees and sala trees, thilikas and rose apples, cashews and trumpet flowers in full bloom. For him its beauty enhanced by such surroundings, is the finest mansion, greatly shining. This is the resultant of that deed itself. They who perform merit receive such as this. Because of this is my beauty such, because of this do I prosper here, and there arise whatever are those delights that are dear to my heart. I make known to you, monk of great majesty, what merit I performed when I was born a human being. Because of this is my brilliant majesty thus and my beauty illumines all the quarters. Vimanavathu. Vimanavathu. Third boat mansion. While the Bhagava was travelling about the province with a large order of monks, he arrived at a Brahmin village named Thuna in the Kosala country. The Brahmin householders of Thuna heard, the recluse Gotama, they say, has arrived in the field of our village. Now the Brahmin householders, non-believers, of false views, avaricious by nature, said, if the recluse Gotama should enter this village and stay 2 or 3 days, he would establish all these people in his own path. Then the Brahmin religion would have no support, and trying to prevent the Bhagava from stopping there, they took the boats away from the landing places and made the bridges and causeways unusable. They filled all the wells except one with weeds and so forth, and concealed the watering places, rest houses and sheds. Thus it is told in the Udana. The Bhagava learned of their misdeed, and having compassion on them, crossed the river through the air with the order of monks, went on, and in due course reached the Brahmin village of Thuna. He left the road and sat down at the foot of a tree. At that moment many women were passing by near the Bhagava carrying water. And in that village an agreement had been made. If the recluse Gotama comes here, there is to be no welcome or the like made for him, and when he comes to a house, neither him nor to his disciples is any food to be given. Then a certain Brahman's servant girl, going along with a jar of water, saw the Bhagava surrounded by the order of monks, realized that they were tired and thirsty, and having a mind of happiness, wanted to give them water. Even though these people of this village have resolved that nothing at all to be given to the recluse Gotama and not even a show of respect is to be made. She said to herself, yet, if after I have found these supreme fields of merit and worthy recipients of meritorious giving donations, I do not made a support for myself by a mere giving of water, when hereafter shall I be released from a life of woe? Gladly let my master and everyone who lives in the village beat or bind me, still I will give a gift of water to a field of merit such as this. When she had made this resolve, though the other women carrying water tried to stop her, without regard for her life she lifted down the water jar from her head, placed it on one side, approached the Bhagava full of joy and happiness, greeted him with the fivefold veneration, and offered him water. The Bhagava recognized the bliss of her mind, and as a favor to her, washed his hands and feet and drank the drinking water. The water in the jar was not diminished. The girl saw this, so next, having blissful mind, she gave to one after another of the monks, then to all of them. The water was still not diminished. Joyful and elated, and with her water jar as full as ever, she went home. Her master, the Brahman, heard for her giving drinking water. She has broken the rule of the village and I have been subjected to ridicule, he said, and burning and spluttering with rage he hurled her to the ground and beat her with hands and feet. Because of that thrashing she died and was reborn in the realm of the 30 there, and a mansion arose for her like that described in the first boat mansion. Now the Bhagava addressed the venerable elder monk, Ananda, come now, Ananda, bring me water from the well. The elder said, the well here, reverend sir, has been polluted by the people of Thuna. I cannot bring water. But the Bhagava commanded him a second and a third time. The third time the elder took the Bhagava's bowl and went toward the well. As he went, the water in the well filled up to the top, brimmed over the flowed down on every side. All the rubbish floated to the top and cleared off. By the rising water other watering places were filled, the village was surrounded and the region round the village submerged. The Brahmans saw the miracle, and with hearts filled with amazement and wonder, received forgiveness from the Bhagava. At once the flood of water disappeared. They provided a place for the Bhagava and the order of monks to stay. Invited them for the next day, and on the next day, having prepared great alms, they presented sumptuous solid and soft food to the order of monks with Buddha at the head. And when the Bhagava had finished his meal and withdrawn his hand from the bowl all the people of Thuna sat in homage around him. At that moment the Devata had reflected on her attainment and realized that its cause was her gift of drinking water. Filled with gladness she said, good, now I will pay homage to the Bhagava. I will make known in the world of men the great fruitfulness of deeds. Even of a trifling sort. When done to those who tread the right path. And filled with zeal. With her retinue of 1,000 nymphs, and with her pleasaunce and so on together with her mansion, she arrived with great deva majesty in the sight of the great body of people. She descended from the mansion, approached the Bhagava, saluted him, and stood in an attitude of reverence. Then the Bhagava, desiring to make the result of merit clear to that multitude which was there before his eyes, asked her, Lady, you are standing embarked in a boat with a golden awning. You dip into a lotus pool, you break off a lotus with your hands. Your dwellings are pinnacled houses, partitioned, the proportion planned. Dazzling, they shine forth around the 4 quarters. Because of what is your beauty such? Because of what do you prosper here, and there arise whatever are those delights that are dear to your heart? I ask you, Devi of great majesty, what merit did you perform when you were born a human being? Because of what is your brilliant majesty thus and your beauty illumines all the quarters? That Devata, delighted at being questioned by the self-awakened one himself, when asked the question explained of what deed this was the result. When in former birth I was born a human being among men in the world of men I saw monks who were thirsty and weary. Up and doing I gave them water to drink. Verily, he who, up and doing, gives water to drink to those who are thirsty and weary for him there will be streams of cool waters abounding in blossoms and many white lotuses. Beside him moving waters, streams of cool waters fringed with sand forever flow there are mango trees and sala trees, tilakas and rose apples, cashews and trumpet flowers in full bloom. For him its beauty enhanced by such surroundings, is the finest mansion, greatly shining. This is the resultant of that deed itself. They who perform merit receive such as this. My dwellings are pinnacled houses, partitioned, the proportions planned. Dazzling, they shine forth around the 4 quarters. Because of this is my beauty such, because of this do I prosper here, and there arise whatever are those delights that are dear to my heart. Because of this is my brilliant majesty thus and my beauty illumines all the quarters. This is the resultant of that deed when, up and doing, the awakened one drank the water. The Bhagava then, teaching Dhamma, explained the truths. At the end of the teaching that Devata was established in the result of stream entry, Sotapanna, first stage of spiritual awakening. Vimanavathu. Lamp mansion.